My 6-year-old daughter was left alone on a moving boat by my parents and sister. We didn't have time to wait, my sister said casually. I didn't shout. I did this. The next day, their lives started falling apart. It started in the middle of an ordinary shift, the kind where your brain hums and your body's running on caffeine and muscle memory. I was at the hospital, charting notes between patients, halfway through a lukewarm cup of coffee that tasted like old pennies. Then my phone buzzed. 6 missed calls, from Mira's number. My first thought was that she'd dropped my phone again, or maybe pocket-dialed me while showing it to one of her cousins. Then I noticed the timestamp, each call less than a minute apart. The kind of frantic, repeated tap a child makes when something's wrong. I ducked into the hallway, hit redial, and walked toward the windows, trying to look like I wasn't already panicking. She answered on the first ring. "Mommy?" Her voice was small. I'd heard that tone before, once, years ago, when she'd fallen off the monkey bars and thought she'd broken her arm. Only this time, it was thinner, smaller, trembling. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" My voice came out too calm, like I was talking through cotton. "They left me." "Who did?" "Grandma and Grandpa. Aunt Sienna. Everyone." I blinked. "What do you mean, left you?" "They said I could ride again. On the boat." They went to the next thing. I actually smiled for half a second because it sounded so impossible. My brain refused to compute it. "Sweetheart, they're probably right there. Look around. Can you see them?" Silence. Then a sniffle. "No, I think they left." The hospital hallway tilted. I grabbed the window ledge, breathing slow. "Okay, Mira. It's fine. We'll figure this out." I forced my voice into doctor mode. Calm, firm, certain, even though my pulse was thundering in my throat. "You're still on the boat, right?" "No," she whispered. "I got off." Everyone else did, so I thought it was the same place. But it's not. It's different. My knees almost gave out. All I could see was water, dark, moving, endless, and my daughter standing on the wrong dock. "All right," I said, steady as I could. "We're going to find out exactly where you are. Can you look around for any big signs? Maybe a word, a number?" "I can't read all of them," she said, her voice quivering. "There's, ice cream. Something with tour." "That's great, baby. Keep looking." She started sounding out the letters, slow and shaky. "ICE. OURS. Boat tours. Okay. One of those circular sightseeing rides that loop the lake every half hour." I exhaled. Not good, but not hopeless. "Do you see anyone who works there?" A grown-up with a name tag. "There's a lady selling tickets." "Perfect. Go to her, okay? Tell her your mommy wants to talk." I waited through a few long heartbeats of silence and ambient chatter until a woman's voice came through, confused but kind. "Hello?" "This is the ticket office." "This is her mother," I said quickly. "My family may have gotten separated from her. She's 6. Can you keep her with you until I reach someone?" "Oh my God, of course. She's safe here." "Thank you." My voice cracked on the last word. "Just please don't let her out of your sight." "I won't." I thanked her again, hung up, and called my parents. Mom answered on the second ring, bright and cheerful, like she was calling from a brunch table. "Hi, honey." "Everything okay?" "Where is Mira?" "She's fine," Mom said, airy as ever. "She wanted another ride, so we let her stay on the boat." There were lots of kids. In the background, Sienna cut in, casual and irritated. "We didn't have time to wait." The next attraction was starting. The world narrowed. "You left a 6-year-old on a moving boat," I said, each word glass-edged. Mom sighed. Don't be dramatic. It's a family place. I didn't hang up immediately. I let the silence stretch until it turned sharp. Then I said, "Stay where you are. I'll handle this," and hung up. I called the woman back at the dock. "What's your name?" "Angela." "Angela, thank you for staying with her. I'm Adriana, her mom. Please keep her close. I'm on my way. Do you want me to call security?" "Yes, and please give them my number." Then I dialed local police dispatch, hands shaking. "My 6-year-old daughter was abandoned by family at the Lake Tour docks," I said, keeping my voice low but deliberate. "She's safe with an employee right now, but I'm an hour away." The dispatcher didn't waste time with judgment. "We'll send an officer to stay with her." "Drive safe, ma'am." I hung up and turned to my supervisor. "Family emergency. My daughter's in danger." One look at my face and she just nodded. "Go." The drive felt endless. Rain started halfway there, thin and steady, blurring the edges of everything. I kept the phone on speaker and stayed on with the responding officer, who had arrived at the dock and was keeping Mira beside the ticket booth. "She's calm now," the officer said once. "Drawing on some receipts." "She likes to draw," I murmured, gripping the wheel tighter. Every red light felt like a personal insult. When I called again, Mira's voice was small but steadier. "They gave me a blanket," she said. "They said you're coming." "I am, baby. I'm close." "You did everything right," she sniffled. "Am I in trouble?" My throat closed. "No, sweetheart. You're my hero." An hour later, I ran into the police station still in scrubs, rainwater dripping off my sleeves. Mira sat on a bench wrapped in a blanket that looked 3 sizes too big. When she saw me, she dropped her stuffed bunny and sprinted across the floor. I caught her mid-jump, held her so tight I could feel her heartbeat through her jacket. The officer standing nearby cleared her throat gently. "She was exactly where you said she'd be, Dr. Morales." "She's shaken, but okay." I nodded, unable to speak. I thanked the officer, gathered the few belongings they'd given her, and walked Mira out into the damp night air. The parking lot was empty except for the reflections of streetlights in puddles. Mira leaned her head against my shoulder and sighed, exhausted. "It's over now," I told her. "You're safe." As we drove away, the road slick and shining, one thought stayed with me. Whatever existed between me and my family ended tonight. They thought this would blow over. They had no idea what was coming. The night after the boat incident, I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of Mira's bed, watching her breathe like she might disappear if I blinked. She was curled under her blanket, still clutching the stuffed bunny the officer had given her. Every now and then, she'd stir, murmur something in her sleep. Boat, ice cream, mommy, and my stomach would twist. I kept telling myself she was fine, safe, warm, alive. And yet I couldn't stop thinking, they did this. My parents, my sister, my family. They left her. Rowan came in around midnight, still in his scrubs. He smelled like antiseptic and exhaustion. He took one look at me and didn't ask the obvious questions. He just handed me a mug of tea and sat down. "You should lie down," he said softly. "I'm fine." "You've been staring at her for 3 hours. Then I'll make it 4. He didn't argue. That's why I married him. He knows when I'm past reason. By 2 a.m., the tea was cold. My throat was dry, and the rage had settled into something sharper. This didn't start on a boat. It started years ago. I grew up 3 years older than Sienna. 3 years wiser, 3 years blamed. My parents said things like, "You're the example. You have to make us proud." And then they'd hand me a broom while Sienna spun in circles, giggling because everyone thought she was adorable. When I was 9, I spent my summer folding laundry and babysitting her. When she was 9, they spent the summer praising her for helping mommy. Helping how? By existing? That was the pattern. I got grades. She got applause. I got lectures. She got dessert. I should have known it wouldn't stop when we grew up. Sienna went to college for something that looked good on Instagram and married Derek before the ink on her degree dried. 3 kids in 6 years, a project she never talks about, and a husband whose job title changes every holiday dinner. Meanwhile, I clawed my way through med school on scholarships and caffeine. Every bill I've ever paid, I earned. My parents never congratulated me. They just reminded me how much I owed them for raising me. They said it every time they asked for help. Just until we're caught up on the mortgage. Your sister's having a rough year. Can you cover her utilities? You make good money, sweetheart. Family helps family. Somewhere along the line, helping became my second job. $750 a month for my parents' mortgage. $200 for Sienna's emergencies. A few more for the kids' birthdays and school trips. All of it automated, smooth, invisible. The price of peace. And like an idiot, I kept paying it. Then came the trip. Sienna called it a little getaway for the cousins. I called it manipulation with a smile. Come on, Adriana, she said. It's only an hour away. Mira will have fun. You're always working. Let her make memories. Translation. Pay for it. I told her I couldn't come. Weekend shift, short-staffed, same old story. Sienna said, then at least cover the tickets. You're the one with the good salary, Mom chimed in. You know they can't afford it, Adriana. Don't be selfish. So I paid. For everyone. Boat rides, attractions, snacks, everything. Over $1,000 for a trip I didn't even go on. The trip where they left my daughter alone on a moving boat. That thought hit me like a punch. I stood in the kitchen, staring at the receipts still spread across the counter, and felt my throat tighten. By the next morning, the numbness was gone. It was replaced by something colder. I sat at the table, opened my laptop, and filled out the online form. Police report. Child abandonment. Location, Clearwater Lake Tour Docks. I typed their names. Mom, Dad, Sienna, Derek. My fingers trembled, but not from hesitation. When I clicked submit, it felt like breathing for the first time in years. Not revenge, just truth. Rowan walked in as I closed the laptop. He looked at me, at the blank expression on my face. Did you do it? Yes. He nodded once. Good. He went to work without another word. That afternoon, Mira drew a picture of a boat. She handed it to me with a shy smile. For you. I took it, heart aching, and taped it to the fridge. Then I made myself a promise. No more being the responsible one. No more funding other people's carelessness. No more paying to be mistreated. And for the first time in my life, I actually meant it. There's a certain kind of silence that feels louder than screaming. That's what my house sounded like the morning I decided to pull the plug on the family finances. The coffee was burning on the warmer. Mira was still asleep, curled in a nest of pink blankets, and Rowan had already left for an early shift. I sat at the kitchen table in my robe, laptop open, bank account glowing at me like an accusation. Half the mortgage, $750, family allowance for Sienna, $200, utilities, $90, a few random transfers I didn't even remember agreeing to. Every month, money dripping out of me like a slow bleed. Click, cancel, click, cancel, click. Each confirmation screen felt like oxygen. For the first time in months, I could actually breathe. No tears, no hesitation, just clarity. You know what's funny? Not one of them had called to ask if Mira was okay. Not my parents, not Sienna, not a single text. They knew she'd been found. They just didn't care. Family, right? Once the payments were gone, I pulled up my credit card history. Boat tickets, souvenir stands, lunches for 8. I scrolled past the numbers, $23.90, $41.50, $1,150 total, and felt something twist in my stomach. That was the price of being generous. I opened a new message to Sienna. Since you left my daughter alone on a boat, please refund the $1,150 I paid for your family's trip. I can send an invoice if you'd like. I stared at it for a moment, then hit send. It wasn't about money. It was about balance. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Sienna. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but I answered. Curiosity is a disease. You're unbelievable, she snapped before I could say hello. You're making such a drama out of nothing. I laughed quietly. Nothing? Oh, come on, Adriana. It was perfectly safe. There were other kids, staff. You're acting like we left her in the ocean. You left her on a moving boat. She's 6, not helpless. She wanted another ride. She's 6, I repeated. You have 3 kids. You know better. I'm so tired of you acting like you're better than everyone just because you make more money. Right, this is about money again. Everything's about money with you, she said, her voice rising. You think because you pay for everything, you can control us. You're confusing control with boundaries, I said. They're not the same thing. Boundaries? She barked out a laugh. You're punishing us because your daughter got off the boat early. Maybe you should teach her to listen. I closed my eyes. If I ever sound like you, shoot me. What? Nothing. Goodbye, Sienna. I hung up. I left the phone on the counter, buzzing and ringing, until it finally stopped. The silence afterward was blissful. Pure, uncut peace. 4 days passed. Not a word. Then, on the 5th, my phone rang again. Dad this time. Adriana, there must have been some kind of mix-up, he began. The mortgage payment didn't go through. No mix-up, I said. Well, can you check? The bank probably... I canceled it. A pause. You can't just stop paying. We depend on that money. I noticed, I said. You should try depending on yourselves for a change. Your sister made a mistake. Mom cut in from the background. She didn't mean harm. You were there, Mom. She's exaggerating again, Mom said. It's not that serious. You didn't even call to see if Mira was okay. Well, she's fine now, isn't she? Something inside me went cold. You don't get to decide what's fine. Dad's voice hardened. You're being cruel. I smiled to myself. Then I learned from the best. And I hung up. By the next morning, they'd left matching voicemails, long, rambling, guilt-laced performances about how family sticks together. I didn't bother listening past the first sentence. Delete. 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 At work, one of the nurses asked if I was doing all right. Better? I said. It's amazing what happens when you stop funding your own misery. She laughed, not realizing I wasn't joking. That night, I came home to Mira building a fort out of couch cushions. Is this your castle? I asked. She nodded solemnly. Only good people can come in. Perfect, I said. I've been looking for that kind of policy. I lay down beside her, letting her chatter fill the space. She was fine now, really fine. Her world was small, but safe. Mine was smaller, but peaceful. A week later, I got an email. Subject: Your report regarding incident number 47,281 has been received. No name, no details, just confirmation that it was official. I sat staring at the screen, heart steady. That report was a line in the sand. They could ignore me, spin their stories, play innocent all they wanted. But now, there was a record. Let them explain to an officer why they thought abandoning a 6-year-old on a boat was fine. I muttered to no one. I closed the laptop, poured myself another cup of coffee, and looked out the window. The city lights flickered against the glass, and for the first time in a long while, they didn't look harsh. They looked clean. I picked up my phone, thought about unblocking my parents for half a second, then set it back down. No more noise. No more guilt. Just silence. And silence, I've learned, is its own kind of revenge. It took them a week to make their next move. 7 whole days of silence. 7 days where I almost started to believe they were done. Then Mira came home from school and shattered that illusion in one sentence. She was quiet when I picked her up, which wasn't unusual. 6-year-olds run out of words by 3 p.m., but halfway through the drive, she started fidgeting with the strap on her backpack. Then her voice cracked. "Mommy?" "Yeah, baby." "Grandma and Grandpa came to school today." My stomach dropped. "They what?" Her lip trembled. "At lunch. They said it's my fault. They said you should start paying again so we can all be a family." For a second, I didn't even register the words. Then it hit me all at once. Heat, anger, disbelief, all crowding my chest. I pulled over so fast the seatbelt caught her shoulder. "Mira, listen to me." I turned around and took her hands. "You did nothing wrong, okay?" "None of this is your fault," she sniffled. "They said I was bad because I got off the boat." I felt my jaw lock. "You were scared. They left you there, not the other way around." She looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. "Are you mad at them?" I let out a breath that felt like fire. "Oh, sweetheart, you have no idea. That night, I didn't just get mad. I got organized. I emailed the school first. Effective immediately, only Adriana Morales or Rowan Morales are authorized to visit or pick up Mira Morales. No exceptions. Then I called my lawyer. "Can you draft something formal?" He sighed, like he already knew the answer to whatever had happened. "Cease and desist?" Make it sound polite but terrifying. "That's my specialty," he said. By midnight, the emails were sent. I didn't cry. I didn't pace. I just sat there on the couch, watching the clock tick, waiting for the rage to burn itself out. It didn't. 3 days later, the smear campaign began. It started with a text from a cousin. "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but your mom's saying you're demanding money from her?" An hour later, a coworker cornered me by the coffee machine. "Everything okay?" "Your sister posted something about ungrateful daughters." I laughed. "She spelled ungrateful wrong, didn't she?" He blinked. Yeah." "Figures," I said, and walked away. By day's end, my phone was a slot machine of accusations. "You're punishing your family. Your parents are heartbroken. You've changed." They made me sound like a cartoon villain, and for a moment it almost worked. I almost felt guilty. Then I remembered my daughter's voice saying, "They said it's my fault." On the 5th day, I snapped. I opened a blank email, added every relative I could think of, and typed, "For clarity, I've paid $750 a month toward Mom and Dad's mortgage for the past 5 years. I've also covered utilities, insurance, and given Sienna $200 monthly for emergencies. I'm attaching receipts." 2 weeks ago, my family abandoned my 6-year-old daughter on a moving boat. They left her alone while they went to another attraction. I filed a police report for child endangerment. Documentation available upon request. That's the truth. Make of it what you will. I reread it twice, not to soften it, but to savor the precision. Then I hit send. It didn't take long. Within an hour, the phone started lighting up. Apologies, shock, disbelief. By morning, the sympathy had shifted entirely in my direction. Mom's posts disappeared. Sienna's ungrateful daughter status was replaced by a photo of her coffee. Victory tasted like espresso and exhaustion. A week later, Karma called. Or rather, a cousin did. "Hey, don't freak out, but apparently Child Protective Services visited Sienna's house." I froze mid-step. What? Someone must have flagged it. Maybe the report. She's losing it. I exhaled slowly. Well, actions, consequences. That night, my phone lit up again. Angry texts, voicemail, the whole circus. Mom: "Because of you, your sister could lose her children." Dad: "You've destroyed this family." Sienna: "You're jealous of me." Jealous. That one almost made me laugh out loud. I blocked them all. The silence that followed felt like closing a heavy door. Weeks turned into months. Without my money, Mom and Dad's world started shrinking. First it was small things. Mom stopped getting her hair colored. Dad sold his fishing gear. Then came the house. I heard from a distant cousin that they'd sold it. Apparently, downsizing. Translation: they couldn't afford it without me. They moved into a rented townhouse somewhere near the highway. Word got around about Sienna's Child Protective Services check. The agency didn't take the kids, but they did require mandatory parenting classes. She and Derek had to show up every week with notebooks and name tags. People whispered. Old friends stopped inviting them places. Even Mom called it humiliating. It should have felt satisfying, but it didn't. It just felt done. Like a chapter that finally ran out of ink. That night, I came home to find Mira at the table, pencil flying across her homework. She looked up, serious. "Are they still mad at us?" "Probably," I said. "Does it matter?" "Not anymore." The phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. I flipped it over, screen down. Mira smiled a little. "Who was it?" "No one worth answering." I thought about all the years I spent buying their love, mistaking guilt for loyalty. Turns out, peace doesn't sound like forgiveness. It's a quiet kitchen, a humming child, and a phone that finally stops ringing. They taught me silence. I taught myself peace. So what do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.